Good evening. I am Akia Garnett, and you're looking at Think Big. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm excited because I have a great show for you tonight. I'm going to be joined by my friend, Carl Brown. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you.
And we're also going to be joined by Sharrarne Morton. And we're just going to get right into the things that they focus on in their career. And I'm really sure that if you're out there and you're in small business for yourself, you're an entrepreneur, you're looking to launch a business or even thinking about what you could possibly do, this is the show for you. So I want to go ahead and bring Sharrarne in. Sharrarne, are you there?
I am.
Right. Thank you so much for joining us, Sharrarne. Let's jump right into our conversation. Carl, tell me about what you're doing over at the Small Business Development Center at Howard University.
Well, I am the executive director of the DC Small Business Development Center Network. And what we do is we provide business counseling to small businesses for free, which is, a lot of people say, well, if it's free, I don't want it. Well, everyone on my staff has an MBA and about 25 years of experience. So if you want to discount that, and I mean, these are top flight executives that have had small businesses, including myself, which has had multiple small businesses, worked with a lot of startups, and helped a lot of people make a lot of money. So if you want to discount that, then go ahead. But we're open for business every day.
Great.
So that's just one thing that we do. And then we offer low cost or sometimes even free workshops. And, the topics range from finance to operations management, human resources, or just basically how to win in a government contract.
Yeah.
And then thirdly, we have a big push on loan package review. So we will look at your loan package that you want to submit to a bank, and we would say come to us first, because if you go to the bank and they say no, then guess what? You got to wait a year before they can look at your next package. Mm-hmm. But if you come to us, we can help you position your package, and that way you will get a higher percentage of yes, as opposed to getting a no.
Well, I mean, I'm speaking to both of you all tonight because not only are you an advocate and you're so incredibly busy in the small business and entrepreneur space, but you also have a show that you co-host with Sharrarne, and that's called the Small Business Report on Sirius XM.
Yes.
How did you guys go into that together?
Well, that was easy. And, Sharrarne and I talked, I would say, a couple of months before I even went over to Howard University to run the Small Business Development Center. And as I was going through the interview process, I said to Sharrarne that eventually I would like to get a radio show and then eventually a TV show. So lo and behold, I went over to ask for a PSA at WHUR Studios, and not thinking about getting a radio show.
Yeah.
And so the general manager asked me, he said, well, what do you do? And I told him, and he said, where are you located? Mm-hmm. And I told him, and he couldn't believe we were on the campus of Howard University. Been there since 1979.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you about, the history of the program. And that right there seems like it just lined up so well in timing.
Right. And so as I was talking to him about what we did, who we do it for, and how long we've been doing it, I looked at him, and I'm waiting, for an answer. Am I going to be able to get a PSA? Because I didn't have the budget to do a commercial. And he looks at me and he points and says, "What you just said to me? You need your own show."
Wow. It's that easy. So, Sharrarne.
So Carl says to me, oh, and by the way, for your audience who may not know what a PSA is, that's a public service announcement, and they are
Thank you.
free. And so that's what Carl was hoping to get, a free shout out for the Small Business Development Center.
Absolutely.
And he walked away with a whole show.
Show.
How about that? You make it sound like it's that easy, Carl.
He tells me what happened.
It's not that easy, but if you have something, that where you can help the community, I'm
Yeah.
sure that you'll benefit and be able to get a show.
Well,
Like you have a show.
well,
I love your
Well, it's
show.
not,
you
it's
so
not
much.
that easy, Carl.
It's and Sharrarne, I know you're going to talk to us you're going to talk to us about some of the questions that people may have in terms of how can I get a show started, if I'm interested in a radio show or a television show, a satellite show. Those are questions that I get all the time in branding,
Right.
and I'm sure that you get them even more. Sharrarne, can you just give us a quick introduction of the things that you're working on, the priorities that you have in your business, and also about the executive production or executive producing passion that you have?
Sure. Well, besides having a ball, co-hosting, and co-producing the Small Business Report with Carl. And by the way, Carl and I worked on a television show several years ago.
Yeah.
So,
and that was for
how
PG
you get
Counts.
into television and radio. A lot of times it's who you know, and once you get your foot in the door, it's what you know. So, but yeah, I teach English and journalism at Prince George's Community College. So I've been in the media industry for well over 20 years. I majored in journalism, graduated from the School of Journalism at Rutgers University, and worked for a while in the public sector and for the government, and then decided to start my own company. And then the door started opening up to television and radio, and it's been a whirlwind ever since. But it's not as easy as it sounds. Carl just always has the sun following him, sunshine following him everywhere.
Yeah. Are you saying he's
and I'm just so glad to know him.
Yeah, I mean, something that you touched on, Sharrarne, you talked about journalism and the things that you're doing for Prince George's Community College. And that in itself, journalism right now, especially in this era, is a whole new ball of wax for many people.
Wow.
I mean, facts
it's
are
a different
facts.
Animal.
Facts are facts, and reporting capabilities have morphed into something really different. Whereas this whole fact-finding thing is taking a back seat to sensationalism. How are you approaching this concept in the classroom with students who are just kind of cutting their teeth on the concept?
Right, yeah. Well, again, journalism is so different from when I graduated college many years ago. The news, the way people get their news is so different. I mean, people get their news, they want it all day, every day. They get it in their pockets, on their smartphones. They get it on their desks and in their laps, on their laptops. When I was in college, there was no cell phone. There weren't, there was no internet. And so mobile devices are definitely adding to people's news consumption. And 9 in 10 Americans now own mobile phones. And, when I was in school, you got your news from the newspaper or television. And it's just so different now.
Or the radio.
My students, of course, are those consumers with cell phones, with smartphones. And they get all of their information from their phones or the internet. And unfortunately, a lot of times that information, there's been no, fact checking, and you can just put anything out there.
Yeah.
And so a lot of what I teach is how to decipher between what's real and what's not.
Yeah.
And we, with this whole campaign, we've been talking about that these past few days. Facts are facts, like you said. So
yeah,
that's a big part of it. But the other part, too, is to make certain that they understand that in journalism and media, like any other business, you want to get experience. You want to get into the industry by starting in an internship program or working your way up, volunteering at a radio station or at, a television station, getting your feet wet, getting as much experience under your belt. You don't necessarily always have to have a degree. Half the people that I know that are doing very well in the news industry, they didn't get their degree in journalism, but they started at the bottom and worked their way up.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much what I tell them.
Well,
And a lot of people always want to know, how do I get on TV?
Yeah.
It's the first thing they want to do. They want to.
That's a big question here. And although TV has changed and we've got so many different variations of television, if you will, there's still something magical to people about seeing their face on that tube.
Definitely. And people, now there's reality television, so it's a little bit easier to get on television if you go that route. But, a lot of my students, they want to be anchors, And I tell them, that's a tough, very competitive field to get into. And you really have to start in a very small market, usually down south somewhere, and work your way up. But, now you can do, your own shows on YouTube. You can do podcasting. There's so many other things that you can, in fact, do. But if you want to get, in front of the camera in a major news market like, New York or Washington, D.C. or L.A., that takes years being in the business, and you definitely have to have the experience and work your way up.
Yeah. And so you get to combine your passion for teaching and also your passion for broadcasting by being on this show and helping small business owners understand how to create success for themselves. That's a great thing. What is your greatest?
Thankfully to Carl. Thanks to Carl for giving me that opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, and so for both of you, what is your greatest hope for the show? What do you want to see happen?
Well, first and foremost, I want to see my clientele grow, so that we could service them at the DC SBDC, which is the DC Small Business Development Center. That was the means to the end in the beginning anyway. But secondly, to be a resource to small businesses so that you can be at home, you can be at work, you can be in your car, you can tune in and learn valuable lessons on how to get a loan, how to manage your business, how to do a better hire. A lot of folks have come to me and said, well, I got this problem. I got a problem employee. How do I deal with it?
Yeah.
And, we're going to have a radio show pretty soon on how to deal with it.
Wow.
From two different perspectives.
Yeah.
One from the HR perspective, and then if you do get sued, on how to deal with a lawsuit.
Got it. Well, that comes in handy, I'm sure. For most of the businesses that you're working with, what size are they?
Mostly, I would say most of them are under 250,000. We have a broad base of clientele. We have over 460 clients that we serviced in 2016. And we had from restaurateurs to cookie manufacturers to small businesses.
To American Express.
American Express. Well,
No, but they've been on the show. They've come on the show, and they cater to the small business.
Yes, they do.
Business community, absolutely, with Small Business Saturday after Thanksgiving. But our clientele, a lot of mom and pops, a lot of small shops. But we're actively going out there looking for the $2 million, $3 million business that we know we can help.
Yeah. And how are you selecting your show guests? Because I'm pretty sure you all have quite a bit of opportunity to pick from.
Yes, for sure.
Based on feedback that we're getting as far as people who want to, what kinds of shows they want to see. Obviously, anytime you're dealing with money. So we had a couple of financial shows come on. Carl Hairston from City First Bank of Washington, D.C. He was on talking about how to qualify for a bank loan. And then we had Lisa Anderson on talking about, she's a CPA, and she was talking about how to price your contract so that you can win.
Yeah.
Proposals, rather, so that you can win and earn money, So, and we'll have some more financial shows in the future, but like I said, we've gotten some feedback for human resource shows, operations management.
So sort of the nuts and bolts.
Right. Branding, social media, those types of things, and a lot of them are what I call sexy topics, branding, social media.
Well, I mean, I enjoyed when I came over and did that workshop for you all.
Yeah, you were really good, Akia.
You were really good.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was bubbly.
They were excited.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a room full of people who wanted to move forward. They were really excited. That was a lot of fun, really.
Yeah, I think one of our better shows as well, in addition to you being a guest, Akia, was our guest Ron Busby from the U.S. Black Chambers of Commerce.
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And an outstanding job explaining how the U.S. Black Chamber fights for legislation that promotes small business growth, particularly policies that address the challenges of black business owners, because that's a whole different set of challenges.
Yeah, sure is.
And he talked about access to capital and contracting, entrepreneur training, and he made a point of explaining that African Americans, definitely should put their money or some of their money into black banks, and how important that was to achieving, the African American community as a whole. So
and
also, I thought that his message when he came on the show was outstanding.
Yeah,
and he talked about the credit card through a black bank.
Yeah.
Which is, really good, because a lot of times we don't qualify for credit cards. Mm-hmm. And you don't know how that hampers you. I mean, just like a business.
Yeah.
If you don't have a good relationship with your bank, the likelihood of you getting a business loan is slim to none.
Well, I mean, the business loans start with your own personal credit. So, I mean, that's the first line of defense there. So if you're not beefed up there, then you're really going to have a challenge. And I'm glad you started to talk about that, because capital continues to be, the main challenge for minorities in business. It's not like every small business doesn't have this challenge, but it's particularly challenging for minorities. How are you working to help people overcome that and start from that understanding of polishing up their personal credit and understanding the importance of that before even thinking about going after a business loan?
Well, we have a lot of banks and other types of financial institutions like factorers or asset lenders that we have in our toolkit. And how we're working with with all of these financial institutions and helping people actually qualify is we want them to bring the clientele to us first. Mm-hmm. If they're already looking at the application and they're going, wow, this company here is not going to get a positive response, they're going to get a no. And before they issue that no, they say, look, do you want the Small Business Development Center to work with you to help you polish up your application so that you can qualify? And if they say yes, then they come on in and we start working with them and repackaging their loans in the DMV. Mm-hmm. They lent out last year a little over $500 million.
Really? Wow.
Yes.
That's pretty impressive.
And so we, in my shop, we worked with businesses last year. We did close to 11 million. Mm-hmm. And I always say, people say, "Oh, that's a good number." That's not enough for you. Number.
Not enough for you.
If we're
What's your goal? What's your goal for 2017?
At least 25 million. Mm-hmm. At least 25 million. Mm-hmm. And I was talking to a bank today, and because they look at my LinkedIn profile, they look at at the radio show, and they're always calling in or sending me emails. And the alternative financing company, they do asset-based lending and factoring. He called me up and he says, look, we got a bunch of tools in our toolkit. Will you be willing to work with us? And I said, absolutely. Mm-hmm. But what I want from you is for you to come in and teach my staff, me included, on what you're looking for so that we know the profile of the businesses that you're going to use, okay, or that will qualify. Because I don't want to work with companies that they're not going to get a loan, and I know they're not going to get a loan.
Wasting their time and yours.
We just have to tell them straight up. The likelihood of this happening is slim to none.
Yeah, and Sharrarne.
And yeah, I was going to say Ron Hairston talked a lot about that when he came on the show as well, right, Carl? He
Right,
talked
right.
about
Yeah.
what banks look for, and his bank in particular,
Right, and we're working with
what they
his
look
bank,
for.
and a lot of them, various banks. I'm
Yeah.
not going to give you all the names, but various banks are working with us
Yeah.
and have come in and have taught my staff exactly what they're looking for,
Great.
so that when we're looking at your paperwork, we can help you get to a yes.
Yeah.
Because it benefits us, because we get to check off that number that, yeah, we got you 2 million, 3 million, 50,000,
Yeah.
whatever you're looking for, we helped you get that.
Yeah.
And what happens is a trigger thing that goes on with that. So you get the loan, or maybe you want a contract, and now you need to beef up your staff. So we're creating jobs at the same time that we're getting that loan for you.
Yeah.
So, or a line of credit.
Yeah, and that's a tricky space to be in.
Right. Well, it's something that a space that we want to be in, because we want to create jobs.
Yeah.
Like last year, we created over 2,049 jobs.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Okay. And I would love to do that again. That was kind of an anomaly, because we weren't trending in that fashion.
Yeah.
But
where did the bulk of those jobs come from?
Construction industry.
Yeah.
You've
It's
seen all
booming
the
in DC.
cranes
It's booming in DC,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, and they were
Yeah.
in DC, Maryland, and Virginia. But the company was in DC. So that's where the bulk of those jobs came from. And we're looking to replicate that success this year.
That's awesome. And, I want to come back to the application process for you, because I know that takes some time, and I really want to give people an idea of what that looks like. Sharrarne, people are circumventing this whole traditional small business entrepreneurship building up process, and they're taking right to social media. And what they're doing with their impressions on social media in many ways is creating dollars in their accounts, and people are making a killing out there. For these people who are firing up and they're really excited about features such as Facebook Live, which lets people go directly from, their living room or their sofa, their bedroom, their basement to, thousands of people at one time, a captive audience. What kind of tips can you give them so that as they are testing out their chops on camera and trying to build their business at the same time, they're not making some of the mistakes that amateurs might make and might turn off people that they're trying to appeal to?
Right. I think, social media, sometimes you have to pretend like it's television, actually, because although people can't always see you, they definitely see your message. And so it's really important when you are trying to build your company by using social media. It's really important to, kind of create a voice that sets you apart from everybody else. And that's kind of hard, too, because, there's so much competition out there. And so there's tons of bloggers and marketing experts, et cetera, and you can very easily get overlooked. So like I tell my students, a lot of times I give them like on-camera tips, or like you said, something about Facebook Live features. You always want to, sit up straight, and you always want to have great body language. You have to watch your body language, watch your hands. You have to even wear clothing that makes you feel good. You want to smile, that gives you, it makes people comfortable. You definitely want to use your natural speaking voice. You kind of want to speak at the camera or to the camera like it's your best friend. Delivery is really important. Your choice of words is really, really important. You want to be simple, clear. You want to enunciate. When you are, doing Facebook Live or you're on television. If you are, doing podcasts, you're speaking, whatever it is that you're doing, you have to make certain that you come across like your subject matter. People have to know that you know what you're talking about, or they're not going to listen. They're going to tune out. So you have to be an expert, pretty much. You shouldn't even go onto television or begin blogging unless you are an expert in that specific field. So that's pretty much what I tell my students when they talk about, being in front of the camera. Those are some of the things that you have to watch out for. And I've been doing television now for about 15 years. As a matter of fact, I was just on News Channel 8 this morning, doing a show on News Talk.
Yeah.
And, we kind of go back and forth, me and the panelists. It's really comfortable now. We kind of talk, we're friends and it's friendly and we're making contact with the audience. And so I always tell my students, if you want to be on camera, you have to make sure that what you're doing is what people want to see and want to hear. Same thing in, when you're online, when you're doing, social media.
That's awesome. And Sharrarne, who are some of your on-camera favorites? I mean, who inspired you, and who do you kind of look to for not only tips but just inspiration?
Well, the person that I looked to when I was little that made me want to go into journalism, I know this, you guys are, well, maybe not you, Carl, but you may not remember. You may not remember Akia.
Hey, you saying I'm as old as God?
There was a journalist way back in the day. She did sports reporting. Her name was Jane Kennedy, and she was also an actress.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I know who she is.
And I used to love Jane Kennedy, and I used to wish that I could be on television like her. And so that helped to, prompt me to go into journalism. But locally, for many years, I've always looked up to J.C. Hayward and Maureen Bunyan. They've been in the D.C. metro area for over 40 years.
Yeah.
I think nationally,
Icons.
I love Lester Holt of NBC Nightly News.
That's
I also
my
like
man.
Rachel Maddow on MSNBC.
I know. We've got a whole new generation.
So many people to choose from today with all of the, the cable television network. But
I throw
have
out.
to say, and one other shout out. I used to love Amanpour. I think it was Christiane Amanpour. Her chief international, CNN's chief international correspondent, and I think she was also ABC News' global affairs anchor.
Right.
I used to admire that she could go anywhere in the world. She was just a fearless journalist.
Yeah. Well, I mean, those are some great names you spouted off there.
How about Ed Bradley?
Yeah.
Ed Bradley.
Ed.
There's so many.
I mean, the list is going on. I mean, Lester Holt, as you said earlier, Lester Holt is just doing.
He's my man.
Yeah, he's doing some great things, and still wealth of information. I mean, journalists and I think people tend to think that they're just reporting the news, but they're such great researchers. I mean, they're just wealths of information.
Well, if they're doing their job.
Yeah, if they're doing their job. We've seen some. We haven't got into the whole investigative.
I think that's why J.C. Hayward and Maureen Bunyan had been around so long. You never, ever find journalists, female journalists that have been in the industry, over 40 years. Usually, once you get a certain age, they're not interested in you anymore. But they've been in the industry for over 40 years. I think Maureen Bunyan is almost 70 years old. I think she mentioned that recently.
But they also have a lot of credibility.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
And so you listen to them.
Yeah.
And it doesn't waver. It's there every day. Like Jim Vance, a lot of credibility.
Constant.
Very constant.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, thank you so much, Sharrarne, for joining us this evening. We're going to spend the rest of the time talking with Carl about the application process over at Howard University for the Small Business Development Center.
Okay.
Thank you so much again, Sharrarne.
Well, thank you.
We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for the opportunity to call in. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you again.
See you soon.
Bye-bye. Bye, Carl.
Bye-bye.
So back to that application process. What is that like? How long is it, and how intense is it?
You speaking about a loan, right? It's not that. It depends on the financial institution that you're dealing with, number one. And number two, it deals with what type of tool you're going to use.
Yeah.
If it's a bank loan, it's going to be different than when you're doing a factoring on a contract. and it's going to be different if you're doing an asset-based loan. Asset-based loan is if you have property or equipment
Sure.
that you're going to use as collateral against the amount of money that you're trying to borrow. So if you have a building per se, and your building is about $2 million, and you only want to borrow, say, $500,000, it's not going to be a long application at all, because your asset more than covers the amount of loan that you're seeking.
Yeah.
The longest application, I would say, is through a traditional bank venue, and you're seeking money,
Yeah.
a straight loan.
Sure.
That's going to be long.
Yeah.
But everything else is not going to be as long, because you're putting up, collateral. Whether it's a contract that they're going to be assigned the accounts payable, or a building or equipment that you own.
And so when people are coming to you, say, for instance, they're just at the intake phase, the first time they come in, shake somebody's hand and says, I need some help. What does that look like in terms of a process for you all?
That process, so a whole new, you're just coming in for regular counseling.
You're coming in and you have a business, or you're ready to start it,
Right.
ready to go.
And you come in, okay, like what we always do, we have some forms that we want you to fill out, because we want to get a baseline of where you are. And that's how we determine how we can help you. Because you'll come in and you may say, well, I only need marketing help.
Sure.
Okay. And then we look at the way you profiled your company, and we're saying, well, you need financial help, marketing help, HR help, project
You need everything.
management help, leadership development, supervisor.
Yeah,
I mean, you need a
everything.
whole cadre of things. So, and we try to articulate that with each customer, that, we understand what you're looking for, but we have all these tools at your request.
Yeah.
And we want to show you and show you how to use these tools so that we can help you grow your business appropriately.
Yeah. And I asked this question because there are some programs out here that help people get started in business in one day. They'll say, start up in a day. And this little toolkit that they get shares with them how to get your EIN set up, through IRS. And
all of those things will help you.
Yeah, those basic things.
That doesn't get you to the point where you're going to open the door.
Precisely.
And so there's a lot more that goes with that. Yeah, you can go online and get incorporated and get your EIN number and all of that. Excuse me. And we want you to have all of that when you walk in the door. And if you don't know how to get it, we show you how to get it.
Sure.
Because we have office hours at DCRA, where you have to go down there and file your paperwork anyway, to get your business license and everything else. So we're already there, and we know the process on how to get it. Because a lot of people coming to us and they're like a deer in the headlights, and they're saying, "Well, hey, I really want to start a business, but I don't know how."
Yeah,
we love those types of people.
Yeah,
because we want to help them, fulfill their dreams.
Sure.
Because everybody comes in there pretty much with a dream and aspirations. They want to run a business, own a business, start a business for a reason. It's something compelling in their soul, if you will, or something that they saw their grandparents do. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why people want to go into business. And we're just there to facilitate your dreams.
Yeah, well, you've worked, though, not just in the D.C. metropolitan area, but you've done this in other cities. What is keeping you at this particular line of work?
It's easy to help people make their dreams come true. You look at American Idol and all that. They help those people, their dreams come true for, singing careers and acting and all that. And my thing is helping you start your business, and then you become successful in doing it. I've worked on startups where there was no one there but just us with a dream.
Yeah.
And we're sitting around the table and, we're just making it happen day in and day out. And we're checking all the boxes. Okay, we got to do this. All right, we got to do this. And every day you see incremental success, incremental progress, to the point where I've gone back to some of them and there's like 70, 80 people working there.
Yeah.
and they don't even know that you're one of the guys
Precisely.
that was there,
Yeah.
like the doctor
Yeah.
that started the whole thing. You delivered the baby,
Yeah.
and they're walking around, they don't know who you are, or sometimes they do, and they're like in awe because they're going, wow, because of you, we got all of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for DC, with the work that you're doing specifically in DC, what part of DC do you say, or would you say, you all are pulling the most customers from? Is there any trending for that?
Nah, all over the city. I mean, and we're going to continue that trend. A lot of people, saying, well, why don't y'all concentrate in wards 7 and 8? No, we're concentrating in wards 1 through 8.
Yeah.
We're helping everybody.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, because people in wards 1 and 7, 8, 6, 5, 4, whatever, they all have dreams. And we're there to help you fulfill your dreams and see your dreams come true. And that's one of the best ways we can get new customers, because when they say, well, hey, you helped, I went to the SBDC and they helped me do the things that I'm doing now. People then go, okay, well, I'll go over there and see what they can do for me. So we get a lot of referrals based on what people have said to other folks, Just like we years ago lost customers.
Yeah.
Now they're coming back. They're saying, hey, there's a new squad over there,
Yeah.
New leadership.
New
so
breath
let me
of
try
fresh
it out.
air, yeah.
Breath of fresh air, So, we're helping everybody. And, if you got a small business, come on in and see us.
Yeah. I mean, you're a Howard alum, right?
Howard alum, got my Howard alumni shirt.
I know
on.
you're a proud Bison, right?
That's
so,
right.
I mean, how does that feel to wake up and know that you work at your university and you're doing such a great thing? I mean, it's connected 100% with your passion in life. You're not in a job. You're really working, that
I don't go to work.
I mean, how does that feel for you?
It's altruistic, I would say, almost, to the point where I am where I want to be, and I'm doing what I want to do. So it's not like going to work every day. It's, and I don't look at it as work. And then I'm going to tell you, because of social media, a lot of alumni are starting to see what is going on, because I'm always putting it out there.
Yeah.
All the workshops that we're doing, all the good things that we're doing, and making a difference in the city and creating jobs and, getting folks loans and, and that those numbers that we did last year, we're stretching and reaching for even higher numbers this year. Alumni are looking at it, and I'm getting calls from around the country. That people are seeking, advice and help and all that. And I'm saying, well, hey,
can you help them if they're not in DC?
No, I can't as a client, but this is what I do for them. There are over 1,400 SBDC offices around the country.
Wow.
So I introduce them to the ones that are near them.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So does that
count toward your $25 million for 2017?
No, but what it does, though, it advances the whole SBDC network.
Absolutely.
Nationwide. So, because here people I did one for a guy in Dallas, Texas. He thought I was actually in Dallas because he saw a big sign that said Carl Brown's Auto Body. And this is a guy I grew up with in New York. So he called the number and he was like, hey, this is Dirk, blah, blah, blah. And the guy was like, no, I don't know you. So he reached out to me on Facebook and we talked. He sent me his phone number. I called him up. We talked. I said, no, I'm not in Dallas. But this is what I can do for you, because he has a towing business and he wants to connect with the SBDC there. I introduced him to the guy in Dallas. Another guy reached out to me in Houston. I introduced him to the folks in Houston. A young lady on LinkedIn, she was trying to get in one of the workshops here. Yeah. And I said, no, you could do it closer to you. So I introduced her to the LA SBDC, so we're doing this nationwide. In fact, one of my high school alumni who has a business in upstate New York, I just put her in touch with the folks in the New York SBDC. Yeah. So I'm doing it nationwide, so if you need help, call us, send me an email, and guess what? We'll help you out with the introduction.
And in your mind, and I know this is probably pie in the sky thinking, but how do you see yourself getting to that 25 million?
Oh, this year, working with those banks, letting the word get out that we are about helping folks get lending or funding rather. And as you know, keep pushing that message because I definitely want to hit that number.
Yeah.
This is not a number.
I'm glad I know your number now because I like to remind people of numbers and goals and stuff.
Yeah,
so.
absolutely. Because traditionally we were doing about 3 million.
Yeah.
So 7 million
Wow.
this year, well, close to 11 million. We blew that number away. Okay. And so, you know, the folks up at Howard were pretty happy, and the folks over at the SBA were happy.
Sounds like a positive return on investment.
Right, absolutely, and that's what we want to be. But to me, it was, like I said, if you're looking at the big pie of $500 million, 11 million is not a whole lot of money.
Yeah, but it helps the community. It helps this
community.
It helps this city.
It helps.
It's helping somebody's dream come true.
Well, that $500 million is in this city.
Yeah.
So I want to be
I
a
mean
bigger
your percentage
player.
though. Yeah, I hear you.
I want to be a bigger player in that number.
Can you work with any type of business owner or entrepreneur, regardless of their size?
Any type.
Any type, good.
As long as it's a small business.
Small business, that's what I mean. Yeah, small business.
And we go by the size standards.
Yes, okay. So why don't you just clarify that for people in terms of, I know it can change over industry and so forth. But
Right. Sometimes it deals with the gross revenue that you have. Sometimes it deals with the number of employees you have.
Sure.
You can check your size standard by going to census.gov, www.census.gov, and they have, because you say, well, why not the SBA? Well, I don't know, but the census does it, so that's where you go. You have to know your NAICS code, so you know you look up your NAICS code, which is the North American Industrial Standard Code, and then you know, because you know what you do, whether or not you're a janitorial company or a baker or whatever. It has every type of job out there. Just look your code up, and then you can look up in census what the size standard is so that you know that you're still a small business. Because construction, I think it's around $31, $32 million. Yeah. Where you are still considered a small business.
And you mentioned that a lot of those jobs last year were in construction.
Were in the construction area.
Yeah. Was it just on what kind of projects were they working on, if you will?
And all kinds.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's so much building happening.
All kind of disciplines, whether they were, carpenters, HVAC folks, electricians. It was everything.
Wow. So that's pretty broad.
Yeah.
Oh my. So let me see if you can give our guests a couple tips to prepare themselves to work with either you or other small business agencies in this area who could help them get their vision off the ground.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, let's talk about a couple of things. You had brought up the social media and folks using. I've heard of a lot of people using Instagram to sell.
Like I told Sharrarne, they're making a killing.
They're making a killing.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, it's all about delivery. If you're not delivering, your social media would die. So if you're out there taking money and not sending out that product, you're dead in the water. Yeah. So as long as you're delivering. But what we like to do is, say you're a small business, you come in the office, and as we're working with you, and helping you develop and focus, because a lot of people are all over the place. They come in and say, well, I want to be an electrician. I'm an electrician. I want to, my business to be focused on doing electrical work. I want to be residential and commercial. Okay, we start going down that path, and then they come back a week later, and then they start talking about, well, now I want to go into real estate development. Yeah. And we're like, well, wait a minute, what are you in? Real estate development, or are you in, you own electrical business? Because I need to know where we're headed. Okay. And so we try to laser focus our small businesses.
Right. That's awesome. Where can people reach out to you? How can they get in touch with you?
They can reach out to me through our website, which is www.dcsbdc.org. and that's dcsmallbusinessdevelopmentcenter.org. Call us 202-806-1550, or they can send me an email at Carl. And that's with a C, carl.brown@howard.edu.
Yeah, and the Small Business Report, your show is a weekly show on Thursdays,
On
right?
Thursdays at 12:30. We're a weekly resource to folks around the country. We're nationwide, or as one of my Sirius XM show hosts says, we're coast to coast and border to border.
Great. Awesome. And you guys are just rocking and rolling with your show. I congratulate you again on getting that off the ground and helping so many people see their vision for themselves and their business come to fruition. You're doing great work, Carl.
And we're going to be highlighting, as we move forward, more SBDCs around the country. A lot of us are doing some really good things, a lot of great things going on. Some are in the agriculture business. Some are in the energy business. And where they're helping energy companies develop, grow, sell more energy, harvest more energy, or even farms, in the agriculture.
Well, yeah, that's definitely something that's being revitalized.
All across the country.
I know it's a good thing too, because we need good, healthy crops.
That's right.
We need that.
Whether it's organic or regular.
Absolutely. I encourage you to check Carl out online. I'll have him to give that web address once again. He has all sorts of workshops and trainings that he offers every year, and I think you would benefit from checking those out. And drop me a line. Let me know if you get a chance to go on over there and how you like some of the things that Carl has going on. You said that you take insight from your audience, and then you determine what you're gonna put on.
We do surveys all the time, and that's how we develop the list of workshops that we offer.
Yeah,
we have developed in a partnership with SiriusXM. We have developed the SiriusXM DC SBDC executive workshop series. So go online, dcsbdc.org, and you can register for any of those workshops. And we also have webinars.
Oh, that's great.
So if you're not located here in the Washington, D.C. area, you can always check out one of our webinars. We're going to have one tomorrow night on social media, and then one on Tuesday night next week on how to use Facebook Live and Periscope.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Carl, for being here again. I really appreciate it. It's always a pleasure to spend time with you and to catch up with you and see all the things that you're working on. I really appreciate it. And thanks again to Sharrarne, our guest, and your co-host for the Small Business Report. Thank you all for tuning in. This is Akia Garnett, your host for Think Big. I'll see you again soon.